Camo with Nashville Meets World, presented by Solis North Gulch Apartments. Live where taste matters. Great guest in the studio today, and it's another kind of transatlantic thing. Adam and Katie from Sunkat.
Hi, Camo.
The studio audience goes wild.
I heard him.
At home, it's kind of an implied goes wild. Look, I get to hold something up again because that's just the coolest thing. And this is kind of a collector's edition, isn't it? You said.
Yeah, a little sampler.
Yeah, we gave it out at our wedding.
Oh.
We did cool wedding gifts. We gave vodka and music.
Yeah.
There's a joke in there somehow.
Maybe we're the joke.
Probably
I don't know.
After the wedding, were a lot of jokes, I'm sure. But,
So you're not only a duo, you're a married couple.
mhm.
How does that work out for you?
Well, luckily we like each other a
Yeah,
lot,
we do.
so it
We
works
do.
out good. I'll go first, and then you can throw in your 2 cents.
Go
But
for it.
Let's say it's you putting your foot in your mouth and saying something.
I never do that.
Never.
No.
I was about to make a joke about your size of feet, and I won't.
Oh.
So I always wondered, like, could you really have a romantic, relationship and be a musician with somebody, be in a partnership? Because I just thought you'd kill each other. There's no way. And I don't know. I just find it really easy.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Although, when we make music, sometimes that's probably the only time we ever have friction. Because we never fight. We have a great relationship. But that's the only time we ever really, you sense either one of us going.
Because creative differences can be a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that split bands up.
Yeah.
Pretty,
But it's not necessarily that we disagree. It's that we both have very, I don't know how you would describe it, but once we get on something, I don't know if it's OCD, but if I'm in the middle of mixing something or overdubbing something and I'm in the moment and she's somewhere else working on lyrics and she comes down and says, "Hey, but what about that?" I'm like, "Huh? What I was doing was perfect."
Well, I was going to say that the tension is usually because we're pushing each other.
right.
Like, really, I'll be like, I really think we need to make that change. He's like, I thought we were done. Or he'll be like, I think you need to re-sing that line. I'm like, I thought I was done. And it's but we, at the end of the day, I think the reason it doesn't turn into a big fight is because both of us just want it to be really good. And so even though there's that moment of like, what? And then it's kind of like, oh yeah, you were totally right. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad you made me do that thing I didn't want to do.
Yeah, and for me, usually she walks out of the room, and after I, just kind of push back, she walks out of the room, and I go, "Damn, she's right."
Yeah. Oh, it's the same. Steel sharpens steel. You both have a very, quantifiable way of getting to where you want to be, and the friction sharpens everything.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
Now, you're originally from London,
Yes.
and you're from
New Jersey originally. New York.
We'll speak slowly for you then.
Thank you. Well, a little more New York. Let's go with New York.
How did you come together?
Gosh, we met as friends probably 20 years ago or something like that. Just the music scene.
Yeah.
We knew all the same people. We used to hang right around the corner at a club called 12 and Porter.
Yeah.
We were both performing back then, different projects, and we knew all the same people. And it's funny because when I got my job with CMT,
We were
Country
going to
Music,
get to that, yeah.
Country Music Television, was around the same time. I guess you were starting with Big and Rich.
Mhm.
And it was funny because we were both kind of, I won't say totally jobless and down and out, but we're kind of these couple scrappy little music kids that all of a sudden landed good gigs, and it was kind of like the thing we had in common. We'd see each other over the years at different events. It's like, wow, we're still fooling them. We're still employed. This is going really, and you're doing well, and I'm doing well. And so we just had a lot in common with that over the years, just buddies,
Yeah.
So, you are a host on CMT.
Yes.
Let's give the show a plug.
Hot 20 Countdown is on every Saturday and Sunday morning, 9/8 Central. Cody Allen and I have been hosting that. I guess he's been on that for maybe 8 years now. I'm trying to
It
think.
seems like 200 years.
Well, it does.
It really does.
Well, yes, I started with CMT in 2001. And it's been named different things. It was Top 20 Countdown, then I was on a show called Insider, and we had NWL Live, Most Wanted Live. and now Hot 20. So, I mean, there's been a few different shows over the years, but basically I've always been involved in some sort of countdown show for the most part for nearly 2 decades.
And you wake up in the morning, how the hell did that happen?
I mean, well, first of all, I couldn't believe they hired me, to be honest with you. I was just a music person, you know, musician and writer and everything. That was totally my focus. And yeah, I landed this great gig thinking, well, if they're crazy enough to hire me, maybe I'll do it for a year. But I was still in the middle of trying to figure out my record deal, and I had a deal, a band broke up. It's kind of a long story.
The Nashville story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a really crazy story that's never happened to anybody. I just really thought I would do it for a little while and then get back to doing music full time, and here I am nearly 2 decades later. But I love it, you know, and I'm around all the people I love and the people I look up to. It just took a little while to get back to doing music as much as I wanted to.
And this is just a side project for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd rather it not be just a side project for me, but yeah, I mean.
I didn't mean to make it seem.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just a side project.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm doing music all the time, whereas she's talking to people that do music all the time.
You were with Big and Rich. Who do you?
Yeah, it's a long list, but the short and skinny is, you know, I was in a rock band with Big Kenny before Big and Rich.
Wow.
He tried to turn the rock band into Big and Rich, and we said, no, this is a rock band, and we all quit. 6 months later, he calls me and says, me and John got a record deal. I'm like, of course you did, because I quit. But I joined forces with them and went on the road with them and did their record. That was my first country record, and also at the same time I was in showcase band with Jason Aldean. I've played on all his records since then, and now I tour with Tim McGraw, and between all that, I've played on a few hundred records over the last 10, 15 years, and had a great career, you know.
Also a hit songwriter.
I've been lucky enough to have a hit song and a couple.
What song is that?
Mississippi Girl by Faith Hill.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So go out and buy Mississippi Girl by Faith Hill.
Yeah. And make me 0.0004 cents.
Well,
We
I
need that 0.004
I always tell
cents.
people, if you're going to stream it, that's okay, but stream it like 2 million times so you can go out and buy a coffee.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And then if you
Well,
really want to help, buy it.
I was lucky with that one because there were so many to be made with songs.
Yeah,
you know?
still
I did also get a cut on a Jason record, on the Haldane record.
Which
Laid Back. It was not a single.
no,
It was about 3 or 4 records ago, and he still was selling a lot of physical copies at that point. That was right before people stopped selling physical copies. So that was nice. And yeah, it's been cool, you know. But the more and more you do it in the shadows, the more and more you want to get out of the shadows.
Yeah,
you know?
it's addictive.
Yeah, I've always, I figured it out the other day talking to the band that we're using for our show. I've always joked that as a guitar player, you hate singers because you're a guitar player. But I realize it's not that I hate them, it's that I'm jealous that I never had the balls to go after that.
The worst thing though is being the drummer when the lead singer is just wearing motorcycle shoes.
That's you're attracted to him or her.
That's how you punish a drummer.
Yeah. Shaky booty at the drummer.
So I really like how the connection is there with you guys. And when you go out and you play dates, who kind of takes the lead on that? Or is
You mean
it
the planning?
and the planning and kind of the physical road stuff?
Well, it's kind of random.
Really?
I feel like, I mean, you know, we haven't done it a lot.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really answer that question.
But you probably mostly run with that stuff.
I think I'm mostly running with the management side of things on that side, but yeah, she's more the creative and I'm more of the, hey, we got to make sure that dude knows we need that amp and we need the, you know.
I'm like, but what are you wearing?
Yeah.
That's what and who's going to take pictures? And I get really into photoshopping and putting together videos, and I definitely am very, very well. We're both creative, but I can go down that rabbit hole all day long.
You work with that all the time.
I should say that the what are you wearing usually comes after I put on what I think I'm wearing.
Yeah. Are you really?
Sorry, baby.
Just a pro tip, the word is yes.
Yeah, I didn't get any flack for this morning. I don't know what happened this morning, but I
love
put
you
this
for that
on, and
shirt.
she's like, "Whoa."
The socks, I don't know why you're.
It's all right.
I'm kidding, I'm totally kidding.
This show, people.
Blue, white, black, anyway, shepherd.
Hey, well, I'm doing blue and black. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, don't worry about clothing for this show.
I guess I didn't get the memo today, is what's.
Some people just
Yeah,
roll
what
out
are you
of
wearing
bed.
today?
Apparently not the right thing.
No, we always have to have somebody here that just stands out and looks good. You know, that's people will pay attention to you.
Yeah.
Him and I don't care.
I disagree, handsome fellas.
You want to do a song and then we'll talk?
Sure.
Yeah.
You're watching the Nashville Meets World show. If you hadn't noticed that already, I'm Camo, and these are my guests, Sunkat.
Should we do I Miss Tom Petty?
You want to? Sure.
Yeah.
Should we set the song up, or do you want to talk about it
Yeah,
afterwards?
set the song up.
Well, you know, when Tom Petty passed away, I think we were both totally shocked. You know, you had a big weight for both of us musically, you know,
A
big
lot of
inspiration. A lot of people, and,
Yeah.
and everybody felt like they knew him. You know, when you heard him sing and when you saw him live, and every time he came on the radio, I was pretty much in tears, and we both wanted to, you know, write a song about him, and you know, I Miss Tom Petty, you know, kept coming into our heads, and it was also our first date, you know, well, our first big date.
Our
you
first
know.
out in public
Out in
date was a
public
Tom
date.
Petty concert.
Yeah, and so you know, we finally wrote the song, and we were just going to let it sit there. But Steve Ferroni of the Heartbreakers actually played it on his show, the New Guys show on Tom Petty Radio on Sirius XM, and for his Christmas show that week, and dedicated it to the Heartbreakers as his Christmas present at the end of the show, and we were just totally beside ourselves.
It blew us away because we wrote it really just, it was therapy for us. It was just a song we had to write at some point. We weren't even sure if we wanted anyone to hear it because it was just so personal for us. And then to end up having him play it was like, yeah, maybe the song does need to be out in the world because everybody misses Tom Petty.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Streets are paved with gold. The sun was always shining. We were never growing old. We were too busy flying. So many miles. You were there for the smile. Could always count on you when things got heavy. I miss Tom Petty. I miss Tom Petty. What's a dream without a friend? Sitting right beside you, write the book but not the end. You just hope the good parts come true. So many miles. You were there for the smile. Could always count on you when things got heavy. I miss Tom Petty. I miss Tom Petty. Big guitar solo. All right. We had nothing to fear. I knew you'd always been near me, and I could count on you when things got heavy. I miss Tom Petty. I miss Tom Petty. I miss you, my friend.
song.
Thanks.
It even has a feel of Wildflowers.
It
Yes.
has
That album.
Yeah. You know, and for me personally, when we were writing it, you know, I kind of, you know, from being on a tour bus all the time with my friends and seeing the world, I kind of envisioned what it was like to be Mike Campbell or one of the boys, you know, rolling down the highway with Tom, you know. You know, that's where a lot of the lyric came from for me. And it's also a love song, you know, it's everything.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Anything to do with Tom Petty, I think
Yeah.
is just cool.
I know, we just love him so
Yeah.
much, and I wore this dress in our Tom Petty video, that's why I wore it today, because
Oh, nice.
I knew we'd sing this song.
Good.
There was a reason.
You guys, you have a lot of influences, and they're pretty diverse.
Yeah.
Sabbath.
Hey, don't
Okay.
laugh, I'm
Yeah.
actually all about some Sabbath.
Yeah, same here.
Yes, yeah, Fleetwood Mac, Led Zeppelin's a big
Yeah.
one, and then obviously plenty of country influence too. We're all about harmonies, and I just grew up on Vince Gill and Alison Krauss, and you know, all that Union Station stuff. And yeah, there's a lot in
I was
there.
playing Slayer and Metallica covers when I was a kid. Yeah. Rain and Blood.
Because you do.
We definitely, yeah, if you look at our playlist, it is all over the place, which it should be, right? I mean, that's what music's all about. Even all that 80s synth pop, I mean, there's a ton of that on my playlist too. I mean, there's definitely a lot in there.
In Sunderland, in England, went to see Psychedelic Furs. You know. And I said, I always thought they were a band that were going to break out and be way bigger than they were, but they just didn't.
I mean, they were pretty solid. Ghost and you ended up, I guess, being probably their biggest, but yeah, because you lived in England for a long time too, so you probably have a lot of that influence.
Oh, totally, yeah. I mean, I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan.
Yeah.
Go see them every time they're in town. Saw them at Twickenham, and that was.
I can't believe the bass player still gets his leg up there.
Spandex. They run around. I mean, the drummer doesn't run around. That would be weird.
Yeah, that
That
would
would
be
be a
weird.
little awkward.
But don't you think? I mean, I'm finding, especially with independent artists, genre is so irrelevant.
I wish it was even more relevant, but you're right, it's getting better, I think.
People are finding influences and liking music from everywhere. And I always find that the best musicians that we have on the show are listening to tons of stuff. We had the Quavy sisters from Texas in here. They are really traditional, like Bob Wells kind of music. And they listen to it because they all play fiddle, so they listen to Jean Ponty and Stefan Grappelli and all these jazz fiddle players. And you have to. They just draw their influences and make it their own. For the
Well,
kind
it's,
of music
I mean,
they
it's
like.
art.
Yeah.
And I mean, any art form, you should be wide open. I mean, you're definitely going to develop your style and everything and own it, but you should walk through the world with your eyes and your ears wide open and just collect everything that you're passionate about. And I don't like putting rules and boxes around art. It's hard.
And every song you write is not going to be the same.
Yeah.
You know, how do you write every song the same? I mean, it's like, why would you do that?
I think that's why the Americana genre is growing so much, because it embraces so many things. And there's nobody saying, that ain't Americana.
Right.
You know,
I know.
like they do in the country.
Yeah, you can almost throw anything in the Americana genre, I guess.
I mean, that's where they put Tom Petty eventually. It was Americana.
Yeah, well, and
Eddie Springsteen.
It's interesting too how many people have tried to come into country that you wouldn't have thought would have fit years ago, but like you were saying, it is at least expanding, and I think it's healthy. I really do.
I think country is almost the last genre of American music to grow and be exported. You know, jazz has done it, blues has done it, rock has done it. You know, and country has always been kind of pockets. Has been the U.S., Canada, and Australia. Have always been a big country, but now we see it all over the place. Argentina, the UK, it's growing so fast.
It is,
France,
Definitely.
Netherlands, Sweden. I mean, it's just massive.
Well, and it's been, I think, the genre that has been most infected with other genres.
It always has been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like all of a sudden there's, you know, rap and there's metal and there's, you know, it's just everything just all together, and then now pop.
Yeah.
You know, we've
Yeah.
got soul, 60s pop and country music, and, you know, which was in it years ago and then left it.
Left it, yeah.
You know, in the 80s and early 90s. I don't think it was there much. Well, in the 90s it wasn't there much.
Yeah.
That's when it kind of went a little flat, I think.
And yet, 90s country, it's a great decade for
Yeah.
country music. I
Yeah,
think
kind of
songwriting was
traditional.
Well, yeah.
so great. Yeah, I mean, I really love traditional country, but I also just think it's healthy to hear stuff that's mixing it up.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like the other genres were less recognizable in the genre at that point. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was
So
kind of this.
You listen to Tim McGraw stuff,
Yeah.
and that's pretty country, and,
Yeah.
and it always has been. And yet there were people, even when he was more country sounding, that were saying he wouldn't know a country song if it bit him on the ass.
Right.
And it's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, 41 #1 hits
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, I for about a year and a half hosted the Grand Ole Opry for
Right.
CMT, the live television show, and I had Loretta Lynn on one night, and I think the cameras weren't rolling at this point. And I was like, oh, what do you think? You know, you're considered a very traditional country artist. You know, what's your take on this whole modernization of the sound and everything? And she just laughed. She goes, oh Lord, my friend Patsy Cline used to catch so much flack for going pop and everything.
Yeah.
She's like, you tell me that's a pop record now. She's like, that sounds country is cornbread now, you know. But at the time, you know, bringing all the kind of pop strings and everything into it, the kind of more lush sound, it did seem very pop. And like she was just making the argument, like, just get over it, just do your thing, be who you are.
It
And
was called Country Pollet.
Countrypolitan, yeah.
Is it really?
Metropolitan Country.
Yeah.
Wow.
But nobody would listen to that now and
Yeah.
go like, wow, she sold out in pop or
Yeah.
something. I mean, you know, we don't know what's going to really sound country 20 years from now looking back. I do hear a lot of records now. I'm like, wow, I am surprised that's on country radio. And that is almost too pop for my taste. But 20 years from now, this genre is going to look very different when we look back on it.
But-
It's always changed.
But does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? It's just music, and like you said, it's art, and you just want to go out and create the best art you can. Let other people call it what they want to call it.
I think it's hard as an artist too when people say, well, you know, what genre do you fall into? Because I'm guilty as a journalist asking artists that, because I think people want to hear the answer to that question where the artist feels that they are. But it's hard when you're just a pure artist to answer that, because you sort of want to go, I don't know, we just want to make music and put it out, and whoever likes it, likes it. I mean, I think if you think too much as a business person, as a musician, it's like picking a movie to act in just because you want to win an Oscar. I just don't think good art is made that way. So it's tricky, but I understand the business side of it. We both do, but you don't really want to create from that place, do you?
No, I mean, I just want to write what we want to write, but at the same time, I want people to think we're as cool as Fleetwood Mac.
Goals.
And speaking of Fleetwood Mac, I mean, 2 guitar players to replace one.
Yeah. Well, I think personally, I think that's more about the vocals.
You think?
Yeah, because Mike Campbell could have done that whole thing. You know, I mean, Neil Finn is amazing. He's one of the most amazing guitar players on the planet, so I'm not downing him because, you know, you listen to that Crowded House stuff and most of that guitar work, I think it's him. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
But, you know, his voice, that voice is golden.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's.
And speaking of voices, Mike Campbell, until now with Instagram, you know, before Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, they didn't have to be on Instagram, and they don't have to be on Instagram now, but I think they all are probably like, well, I guess, you know.
Mike Campbell's bathroom session.
You hear him singing, it's like,
Like,
oh my
let's
God,
talk
he
about
sounds
it.
just like Tom.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
They could go
voice.
and do a Heartbreakers show
Yeah.
and sing in honor of Tom with him singing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
then he may not play the same because he's concentrating on singing. But though, I mean, yeah. So it is pretty amazing to see him and Neil up there instead of Lindsay. You know, but you know, I think they both. I watched an interview with Mike, and he had a really good outlook on what he was doing. He didn't feel like he was replacing Lindsay. I don't think either one of them feel like they're replacing Lindsay. You know, it's like Lindsay did what he did, and they're doing what they would do to it. You know, as part of new parts of the band.
Lindsey Buckingham, though, was mind-boggling. You know those old VH1 specials where it would be legendary albums and they'd deconstruct the album, and to listen when they would isolate his guitar stuff.
Yeah.
it's just insane,
Yeah.
the stuff he was doing.
I stumbled upon a guy yesterday or the day before dissecting one of Lindsay's guitar parts, one of the most famous songs, and it's as a guitar player that's professional, once you put it all together, I'm like, well, yeah, it's obvious, but for somebody that's hasn't done it as much as I've done it, it was pretty mind blowing. I looked at it from that point of view of, wow, okay. Well, now I don't have to sit there and figure it out. I might have been able to figure it out quickly, but this guy dissected it. And there was like so many ingredients to one guitar part.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
When you look at your career as Sunkat, and you're not on the level of the Fleetwood Macs and the Tom Pettys as far as popularity, but your goal is always to put out art that's as good as that. It's just the mathematics of getting people to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we suck at math.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I asked Tim McGraw the other day, I said, do you think it would have been easier or harder for you to make it back in the day if we had all the social media and technology we have now? He said, most definitely harder.
Yeah, I think it is harder because there's so much music being made, there's so much do-it-yourself music being made, and it all gets up onto the streaming stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you find it?
Yeah.
How do you get through that forest of mediocrity to find the really cool stuff?
Well, we're just doing it for our hearts,
Yeah.
and we hope that it goes beyond that. We're doing everything we can to push it. We're working our butts off to make stuff happen, but there's only so much you can do before you have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So, we're just.
He made it. He's dead, but he made it.
I think we're fortunate on this show that we get some really cool talent, and it's great having you here.
Yeah, thanks.
We're happy
Thanks
to
for
be
having
here.
us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You want to do another song?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sweet.
Which one are we doing?
You want to do Poison Love?
Poison Love, keep it
Yeah.
upbeat and dark.
Yeah. I sort of got a shout sing this one.
Let's see.
This isn't about us, by the way.
Okay.
Well,
Big alter ego.
maybe. Maybe on a Friday night with no kids in the house. Let's see. If I remember it. Tore up all your pictures, erase those memories, breaking all the chains of hell went down, but I ain't free. I could burn the king size bed where you always got my best. I'm damned I can't rip this broken heart out of my chest. It's like a cage without a key. You still have this grip on me. You barely try, but still I bleed. This poison love is killing me. Like a worn out tattoo I used to care about. It's stuck under my skin, I can't wash the sin out. But it starts to fade, and there's an old familiar stain. I'm still trapped on the running that I've done, don't change a thing. Like a cage without a key, you still have this grip on me. You barely try, but still I bleed. This poison love is killing me. This poison love is killing me.
percussion at campus.
Yeah. We worked all week on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't believe it. I got it, finally.
So now it's time. We got to talk about the new music. New music.
Yes.
As we're recording this, it's coming out, but as people see this, it will have been out.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got a whole new record out, finally, you know, more than 2 songs we've been working on for a while, writing over the last couple of years, and, you know, we do a lot where we build the tracks ourselves. I play the bulk of the instrumentation on it, and the first maybe 5 songs, I did everything, and then we just added real drums.
You are Dave Grohl.
Yeah, well, I wish. You know, but, you know, a couple extra things like Dan Dugmore played steel.
Nice.
You know, but we've got Dan Dugmore on steel on about 4 tracks. We've got Greg Morrow on 4 or 5 tracks.
I used to play steel, so when I do a steel play,
And Dan is, you know, Sean Fichter played drums on several tracks. David Santos played bass on one. Allison Prestwood on a couple. I played bass on most of them. You know, we actually wrote one song. We have a, you know, Lost Hollow, they have a happy song, Looking for Happy. We have a happy song too called Happy Town. And we wrote it with Jamie Kyle and Dave Jenkins, who was Pablo Cruz, the guitarist and singer from Pablo Cruz.
I
Yeah.
know,
You know, so we did a track with them and recorded that, produced that. Sean played drums on that. And,
I guess everything else we just wrote. That's probably the one co-write.
that's the
isn't it?
only co-write on
Yeah.
it, you know. But that's also the only one that other people sang on because they're singing on there with us. So we got
Really full
Dave and
background
Jamie.
vocals.
Jamie's this sultry. You may or may not know her. You know, she's been in Nashville and between Nashville and LA for several years, and is an amazing singer and songwriter, and of course Dave from Pablo Cruz. So we got them singing behind us, and
We gotta make this good. They're on it.
yeah. So, but we're just super excited to finally have a full record. And for me, I know I've done my own music for years on the side and never done anything with it.
Yeah.
You know, this is the first finished, complete, full album
That's cool.
that we're putting out there that I've done. You know, so for me, I'm excited about it.
Yeah. And it's self-titled.
Nice.
Sunkat, yeah.
Sunkat.
13 songs.
12 songs, I think.
And it's available everywhere.
All digitally,
Yeah.
Not physically. You know, we haven't figured out what we're doing physically yet,
Yeah.
if it even matters anymore.
I know, or if you're talking about like USB, like, you know, there's all these different ways now to,
Yeah.
if somebody physically wants to buy something from you at shows, might do that.
There's a guy I know, he works with bands all over the world creating USB things for their music.
Yeah.
And one of them is the entire Bob Dylan library on a USB, and it's stuck in a harmonic. Like it's a harmonic.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And Joe Satriani, it's like this bust of Joe's head in chrome.
Oh,
We need him because I just got an idea.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not giving it away.
Oh,
He's great.
Stay tuned.
But yeah, he works all the Beatles library. It was an apple. That you
Yes.
pull the stem out, and that's what the USB was.
That's crazy cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank you
plug
so
it.
much.
I'll fix you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look us up.
So Sunkat, the album, is out now. Go get it, stream it, buy it.
Oh,
like
and our
we said.
video too. Yeah.
Video?
Yeah, we got a brand new video called Happy Town. So
Happy Town.
check that out on YouTube.
Nice. Check that out on YouTube.
Check it out.
Now it's time to play Asked and Answered.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
So you're probably wondering why the nasty-looking cookie jar here.
I wondered if you made it. I wasn't going to say anything.
No.
He's in ceramics.
I could
It's
never
cool.
make anything.
You know, it's supposed to be round.
It's Dana's ugly cookie jar, and our viewers around the world send in questions, and so you're gonna.
Way cool.
So just reach in there, mix them up, and pull out a question.
Okay. You trust me?
Do we each do one?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Sorry, one question per.
Okay.
Just one.
Well, who gets to answer?
You both get to.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
Do we get to consult before we speak? Okay. What's the most interesting thing that has ever happened to you playing a show? I've got a pretty good answer, unless you want to go first.
I've got one too. Go.
All right. We had a Sunkat show a few months ago, and I don't really play instruments very well. I leave that to the genius. But there was one harmonica part that would have been a little hard for him to play and me. Well, he could have done the Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
harmonica holder. But I was like, I got this, babe. And I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And I think I got to where I was pretty good at it, right? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Anyway.
Sorry, no, I was thinking about my story. It wasn't, that
Okay.
wasn't a pause because you were great at it.
I got it down pretty good, and I couldn't wait for that moment in the show where I was going to blow everyone away with my harmonica part. And I was sitting right there, and I picked it up, and I was like, my hands were a little sweaty. I was like, I got this, I got this, I got this. And the part came up, and I went up to the mic, and I had it backwards. I was holding it backwards, and I was blowing with all of my might, and nothing came out. And then immediately was my line, and I could barely start singing because I wanted to just I was laughing so hard, and I barely recovered for the rest of the song. So, and at the end of the song, I was like, y'all don't even know I practiced all week. That was my big moment. So, there you go.
What's yours?
Well, I'm trying to decide between the more painful one and the less painful one. I'll go with the less. So when I was with Big and Rich, I was the band leader, so the drummer would watch me for cues, and I never, I wasn't cheesy with it, but I had gotten these new boots that were very slippery in the bottom. I might have to stand up for this. Very slippery in the bottom, and I had never done this before, but something overtook my mind that I'm gonna kick as a cue. It's like all of a sudden I'm in Poison.
Yeah.
And I kick like that, my feet go up from underneath me, and I was horizontal.
Wow.
Slam down on my back. Bass player, this is the last song. Bass player grabs me by the feet and drags me off the stage. How I didn't get hurt, I don't know. But that was definitely the most
That
embarrassing.
might be where your neck problems came from.
It might be.
That's from Mary in Oxford, England. Thanks,
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary.
If you have a question you'd like to submit for Asked and Answered, just shoot us a private message and it'll end up in Nana's cookie jar. I thought you were going to go down the road because the famous AC/DC story with It's a Long Way to the Top with the bag part. Well, nobody in the band played the bag part. And they didn't want to take one out on tour, so they had that recording. It was on a cassette. So they just give it to the engineer on the board, and he'd pop in the cassette and hit play when it came time for the bag play.
Yeah.
And they pissed him off, so he would not fire it, or he'd wait till later in the song, or he'd start it earlier.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
That takes nerve to mess with AC/DC. Right? I'm going to play your bagpipe part whenever the heck I want.
Yeah, their biggest song at the time. This guy. Yeah, don't mess with the sound engineer. Okay, final question of the show. Sunkat are about to go on your first major international headlining stadium tour. Who opens for you?
Who opens for us?
Yes.
Jeez.
Don't know if we're at the point yet where we could. But you're saying it's fantasy,
This is-
and we
yeah,
can get
that's
anybody we want.
Yeah. So it could be somebody that's on, at that time is on the downside of their career, or somebody that you like as an independent artist that's kind of.
Lost Hollow immediately comes to mind.
I was going to say Sophia Schoenfeld.
Yeah, his daughter.
Yeah, daughter.
So good.
Yeah.
So
Freaking
good.
amazing. Yeah.
And we're not biased or anything.
No.
I will tell you quickly, when he first told me he had an amazing daughter that could just sing like an angel, I was like, oh God, please let her be good. Because I really like this guy, and I can see this go in the distance, and if she sucks, I'm just gonna be like, she's amazing.
Yeah.
So Lost Hollow and your daughter.
Yeah.
That would be pretty great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good answer. So Tommy and Lori, you got to mention.
But we gladly open for you guys.
Yes, very
You
gladly.
did just recently. Their album released by the
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
That's
We
great.
love them.
One time we flipped it where they went on before us, and we
Yeah.
sat there the whole time going, oh God, we
Yeah.
can't follow this, we
Yeah.
can't follow this.
Yeah, they're so good.
So thanks for being on the show.
Thank
you.
It's a pleasure. You guys have to come back.
Thank
We
you.
would love to.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so
good
much.
to see you.
Awesome.
Sunkat, make sure you check them out. Go and buy their brand new album. Stream it. If you stream it, they get fractions of a cent per stream. As you go and buy it, they actually get pretty close to $1.
Maybe.
We could go to White Castle.
70
Yeah, you
cents.
can go to White Castle.
Impossible burger.
Thanks for watching Nashville Meets World. My guest today, Sunkat. Make sure you catch me on Chris Country all across the UK every Sunday at midday following the Bobby Bones Show, and 88.9 Tamworth FM in Tamworth, New South Wales, Australia, with John Wolfe and Jody Crosby every Thursday morning at 9:30. We'll see you next time.
On my way.